How you doing tonight, Eric?
Apparently I'm sleepy because you caught me mid-yawn there.
Well, this is kind of a late night endeavor. Well, late-ish night endeavor. uh, well, one more week to the election.
Yes. Oh, I can't wait till it's over. Mostly because then I'll stop getting political phone calls. Like, I already voted, like, weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
Well, I guess a week and a half ago, but
Did you
already
confirm
voted.
your ballot was received?
I have not yet. That's on my to-do list for this weekend, is make sure it's there.
I did not see anything on there about, signature verified or anything like that. At least on the Oregon site, I saw some other people tweeting what was done in their states, but I don't know. Mine just said ballot received October 22nd. I'm like,
Yep.
okay, I guess that's good.
Yes.
So, and there seems to be a whole lot of early voting.
I'm excited that there seems to probably be a much higher turnout. I mean, I, of course, have an opinion as to which way I hope it turns out, but, however it turns out, the fact that more people are actually voting is, in the long term, a good thing, a better thing.
I agree. Yep.
I kind of sometimes wish we were like Australia. I think it's Australia that requires voting.
Argentina. I know I've talked with my friends in Argentina that they require it because there was the conversation I remember at least was in order to get other government services like a visa and I think other things from the government, you have to demonstrate that you have voted in the last election or elections, and any that you didn't, you have to have almost like a doctor's note for why,
I didn't know that.
or something like that. Yeah. Maybe they were pulling my leg. It wouldn't be the first time, but that's from firsthand conversations with friends as opposed to any sort of research on the interwebs.
Right.
But
Well, how was your weekend?
My weekend was pretty good. The weather was great, if cold. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It got so cold. That I think, that was just this past weekend, right? I'm trying to like, it seems like it's been a long time from today. It's only 3 days ago, but so we did a bunch of work, mostly just kind of, finished cutting up the tree that we had burnt most of the other couple weekends ago, and got the burn pile all kind of spread out and kind of flattened so that it'll be easier to mow next year, because we'd been gathering that burn pile for a couple of years, so it was quite it was taking over. So and then we did a bunch of gardening work. So it's I guess it's almost November, time to take most of the garden out, and we had project stuff we wanted to do in preparation for next spring, and which is totally cool. So thankfully I have a tractor with a rototiller. So, we did a whole bunch of work by hand to get everything pulled out, but then we put the tiller on the back of the tractor and in literally 5 minutes tilled the whole thing. Machinery is awesome. I like machinery. So
having the right tool for the right job always makes the job easier.
It is so true.
Cool.
But then since it got in the 20s here, which is, I guess, below zero if you're a Celsius person, I had to run around Sunday night kind of making sure that all my my sprinklers were turned off, and the valves opened where I can, and I've got a couple of heat lamps like in the greenhouse. There's some exposed pipes that could freeze, and out in the barn there's some things. And so what I do for them is I have a heat lamp kind of hanging above them on a. I didn't even know you could do this, but you can buy plugs that come on at 35 degrees and go off at 45 degrees. So it's just like a little, an extension. What like a multiplier thing, right? You plug it in, and then it's got like 2 plugs on it, and those plugs are I forget what the thing's called. It's called like a thermo. It's probably called thermo plug or something like that. But those are very handy. So, but as I turned them on, I had some burnt out bulbs, and so I had to make a last minute run down to Lowe's on Sunday night. To go grab a couple more light bulbs, and and they're not the efficient here 13-watt LEDs. They're the please put
they're
out
the heaters.
They're the things you put above chicks to keep the chicks warm.
Right.
So anyway, it's pretty funny. But anyway, it was good weekend. Nice to be outside, get a bunch of sort of physical work done since I've been doing so much sitting these last couple of weeks. It's been a lot of sitting on my butt. How about you?
So I dug into a few of my 3D printer projects that I have neglected. I've had these lamps. They're the I don't know what they're called. They're the upright corner lamps where the bulb is in the top, so they're tall. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. There's a name for those. I don't know what the name is. Well, I have a couple of those, but I've made them very short, and I don't know how else to describe it. They're in a room behind a couch, so they just give light behind the couch. So they're not tall, but to keep the stuff from falling into them or having the light be too obnoxious at that low level, I've had these semi-translucent kind of plates on top of them. It's not a plate, it's just a nice piece of plastic, and they've just been sitting on top of there. And so I wanted to make these little connectors to attach to the bottom so that it could give it a little bit of air gap in there and sit on top, and just make them look a little bit nicer, as opposed to you bump them and the thing falls off. So not a big deal, but I finally got around to that.
Okay. I can kind of picture that in my head. Those are the like conical, like uplights or whatever they call the ones that are supposed to just shine straight up and reflect.
In my video, I'm pointing at one of them. It's behind me.
That's going to be really handy for anybody listening to this.
That's right there over my right shoulder. But yeah, anyways, so I built those, glued those on to the end. Those are all now working. I explored some other ideas I have not given up on my removable underdeck idea. Despite
okay. All right.
Despite opinions to the contrary by some others. My opinions.
I think removable means screws. Screws, not nails.
And it'll probably end up being that. And then my boy has decided that he wants to do a Christmas light display. You know, the crazy house that you would drive up to and tune to like FM, 94.3 or whatever the lowest one on the dial is, and you can listen to the song, so and the lights go along with the music.
To the music, yeah.
He's been watching videos. He's been watching YouTube videos of those and wants to build one so bad.
Well, does that mean he's going to be programming like a Pi or something like that, or some Arduinos?
Part of me is thinking, well, maybe we should try to do that, but that would involve a lot more effort on my part than I think I'm currently willing to
to contribute.
But there are kits you can buy online that are not. There's varying degrees of kits. There's the all-in-one, you just plug it in and it just and push a button and it goes. And then there are some where you can program them. They'll sell you the controller box, and then you have to get the software and program. Like, okay, maybe that something between building it all from myself and getting a controller, and then I don't know. We just started poking
need
around.
to do
at
more
some
research
ideas.
is what it is.
Yeah, we just start. So if anybody out there has ideas or has done something like this, let me know. Because that's high on his to-do list this year.
Well, you got 2 months.
Yeah. Or in 2020 time, 6 years.
Exactly. Well, and plus, you'd have to have them up like, a couple of weeks before Christmas at least. So really, that probably means like 6 weeks or less. And honestly, you can put Christmas lights up after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Although, given how far Christmas is intruding into other shopping aspects, I guess you can put Christmas lights up after the 4th of July. I don't know.
I refuse.
Crazy. I know. Ditto. So I don't know that can I do a follow-up for something fun?
Sure. Something fun follow-up?
We actually named episode 128 after my something fun, which was a mutant bacterial enzyme, which was a way of breaking down plastic.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So I actually saw this more than a week ago. I was going to have this in follow-up last week, but the website was down or something was wrong. I couldn't actually get back to the PDF. But anyway, I clicked on it this week and I was like, oh, see, there it is. It's back. But this is a different way. And I have to say, I skimmed the paper before we started recording, and I couldn't follow once I got past the executive summary, I got lost really fast. So
that makes me feel so much better, because while you were chatting, I was trying to skim through it and going, colorful charts.
Exactly.
So, I like the colors.
So and I don't have any, I don't have any personal way to verify anything here, but the let's see. I'm just going to read this. I'm going to read this with the abstract, I guess. So there's a couple of things here. The plastosphere. That's something I've learned. Anyway, the ubiquitous challenge to plastic waste has led to the modern descriptor plastosphere to represent the human-made plastic environment and ecosystem. That is so depressing. Sorry, that was not part of the quote. Here we report a straightforward, rapid method for catalytic deconstruction of various plastic feedstocks into hydrogen and high-value carbons. We use microwaves together with abundant and inexpensive iron-based catalysts as microwave susceptors to initiate the catalytic deconstruction process. The one-step process typically takes 30 to 90 seconds to transform a sample of mechanically pulverized commercial plastic into hydrogen and predominantly multi-walled carbon nanotubes. A high hydrogen yield is achieved with over 97% of the theoretical mass of hydrogen plastic being extracted from the deconstructed plastic. The approach is demonstrated on widely used real-world plastic waste. This proof of concept advance highlights the potential of plastic waste itself as a valuable energy feedstock for the production of hydrogen and high-value carbon materials. Interesting, huh?
I don't know what a high-value carbon material is relative to a low-value carbon material.
Okay. I was thinking more along the lines of just the hydrogen extraction. If they could extract 97% of the theoretical mass of hydrogen out of plastic and, leave something that is more easily...
less permanent.
Yeah. then and hydrogen's useful in... other ways, not so much in zeppelins. But hey,
Isn't that what fuel cells run on? Aren't there hydrogen fuel cells?
Well, I think typically yes, because they take hydrogen and emit water. Yes, exactly.
Cool.
So anyway, that was an interesting article that I came across. It could have been my something fun, but I was like, it's kind of my follow up, and I already have 2 something funs this week, so I can't have a third something fun.
Well,
I saw you have 2 as well.
I was going to say we need to get through the actual articles because I have 2 something funs as well.
All right. So on to your topic then. What'd you bring me? Well,
as you mentioned, this is the last week before the election, at least here in the U.S. And, it's like one of those things you did the kids do to the parents in the car. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Is the election here yet? But of course, phishing groups are making a play for the data and with the big push. And as we mentioned, a lot more voters actually voting in the U.S. this year. There are also a number of phishing groups using fake voter registration forms.
Taking advantage.
Exactly. And going out and trying to get people to provide personal information that they otherwise wouldn't. They'll send a phishing email with the subject along the lines of your voter registration applications couldn't be confirmed, or the county clerk couldn't confirm your voter registration. Please go to this webpage and fill out the form again. Mm-hmm. And it's just hosted on hacked WordPress sites. And if someone's not paying attention, they'll click on something and hand over their name, date of birth, address, email, social security number, driver's license, etc. And apparently it's been successful enough among the phishers and scammers that they've decided, you know what? Let's not just ask for stuff that makes sense. Let's ask for stuff that makes no sense whatsoever, like bank name, bank account number, your routing number, your banking ID and username, your banking account password, your email account passwords, your vehicle identification numbers. And
who's going to go get their VIN number?
Well, and the reason why they're doing that is they're saying we need this for the government to give you your stimulus. So of course, preying on people's
got both fear and greed going on then. Okay.
Yeah. So once again, go to any websites yourself. At this point, you're probably too late to register to vote in just about every state, I think. You can go to my something fun from last week, iwillvote.com, and double check about your registration and where to go. If you are registered already, you can go there and have it check and verify your registration. I went and made sure my address and everything is correct again this year, a month or so ago before I even got my ballot. So you should be able to go directly to your state website and figure it out. And side tangent, even though apparently a lot of election websites don't end in .gov that are legit, if it doesn't end in .gov, you should be suspicious, at least at the beginning. But unfortunately, there seem to be a lot of municipalities and locales that are not using official government domain names for various sites.
This is very true. I did a talk for South by Southwest this year on that.
Uh-huh. Yes.
Yeah. I think that a number of counties have moved to .gov from earlier this year, which is awesome. But I bet you there's a lot more as of I don't know, the next election. So we'll see. But yeah, the number of counties not using .gov and not even using HTTPS, would probably be horrifying to the people that would listen to this sort of a podcast.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't remember my the exact data, and I don't have it in front of me, but you can go search on YouTube if you want to see that talk I gave. Well, speaking of taking advantage, my topic for this week is similar in the sense of taking advantage of a situation where something is of heightened urgency. And that is the fact that hospitals are currently under attack and under threat for much more. So this is kind of late breaking today. As of Wednesday, so I'm sure it's going to move fast. By the time this is out, tomorrow or Friday, there will probably be more that has happened. But as of today, I'm going to read a couple quotes. As of today, there's several hospitals that have been hit by ransomware in the United States. Most Ryuk is the variant, but including at least one in Oregon. So this is down in Klamath Falls, which is in southern Oregon. But so the quote here was, earlier today, Sky Lakes Medical Center was the victim of a ransomware attack. Our computer systems have been compromised. As of right now, we have no evidence that patient information has been compromised. However, communications with the medical center will be a little complicated until we can get our systems operating again. The other thing that happened today is I saw a tweet by Brian Krebs, and then he put up an article as well saying that. So let's see. Today, so we're recording this. At least it's the 28th, Wednesday the 28th. And Krebs says, let's see. He says on Monday, October 26th, Krebs on security began following up on a tip that an aggressive Russian cyber criminal gang known for deploying ransomware was preparing to disrupt information technology systems at hundreds of hospitals, clinics, and medical care facilities across the United States. So I've seen at least 3 or 4 names. There were 3 or 4 names of hospitals in the Krebs article, but the other thing here is that officials from the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security had a conference call earlier. Sorry. This is the part where he got a tip from a conference call that they had with healthcare industry executives that they were getting kind of a private warning. Right. But then they actually did come out later today with a release from the CISA.gov. Before I get to the CISA thing, there was another security company, Hold Security, cyber intelligence firm. Alex Holden evidently tipped Krebs off that he saw online communications this week between cyber criminals affiliated with the Ryuk ransomware group. I like that they say with a Russian-speaking ransomware group known as Ryuk. So they're not saying it's Russia. It's just a Russian-speaking ransomware group, in which the group members discussed plans to deploy ransomware at more than 400 healthcare facilities in the U.S. That's a lot. If they're successful there, that's gonna be rough. Mm-hmm. Especially given the current state of COVID, where many hospitals in many jurisdictions are near capacity, at least in their in intensive care. There was a speculation in the Krebs article that given the number of hospitals or healthcare facilities, I guess they're saying, that it could be that they have compromised some system that's shared. But I think that was just pure speculation. The last thing I was going to go ahead and put another link in here, which is to the actual alert from CISA, which it had a bunch of data in it, but there were a couple of things that I thought would be worth calling out in here. The first of which was that Ryuk and other things, but are often deployed using TrickBot. And TrickBot, this was the interesting thing I thought they said was that in 2019, the FBI began to observe new TrickBot modules named Anchor, and that has grown. And the main, I'm not sure it's the main thing, but one of the things in here is what they called Anchor DNS, which is basically a module that does DNS tunneling, which is, there's probably a whole bunch of stuff there that is left as a presumption of knowledge, and somebody listening to this might not know all of the things in that, but what I guess I'd say is that DNS is one of the most fundamental services on the internet, domain name service. It's the one that's responsible for looking up, when you type in google.com, your computer doesn't know what google.com is. They have to go to a name server that says, hey, do you know what google.com is? And that'll return an address that says this is what the google.com server is. DNS is very rarely blocked in enterprises or on networks because it's so ubiquitous and so important. So if you can figure out a way to kind of shuttle data inside DNS requests, you can get data out of an environment without tripping up other middle boxes that might be intercepting and monitoring HTTP or HTTPS traffic or other protocols.
Yeah.
So there's info in here about how to basically identify that DNS traffic, which is interesting and good. And then they've also got a bunch of other data about threat indicators. So various DNS records that have been associated with Anchor, domains used to test internet connectivity, which is interesting because they there's a lot of IP checking sites in there. Things like WTFismyIP.com or ICANHasIP.com. myexternalip.com, checkip.amazonaws.com. I mean, some obviously legit ones, but also I'd never seen a ICANHasIP. I thought that was pretty funny. But then there's also a list of historical C2 servers. One of the problems with Ryuk is that it's often customized for the victims. So, with such a broad victim stack, maybe it's not so much, or anyway, I think this is still emerging. We'll have to see how this plays out. But this was my story of certainly story of the day, story of the week.
Well, there you go.
That was that. All right, we'll keep your fingers crossed that we don't actually have hundreds of hospitals across the states impacted over the course of the next couple of days.
Yeah. It feels like a follow-up next week.
Let's see. I'm going to actually hope not, but
I'm with you.
But we will see. All right. You brought me 2 something funs this week, did you?
Yes.
What'd you bring? Okay.
So something fun number 1 is a NASA discovery of an asteroid called Psyche. I assume it's Psyche as opposed to Psyche. They've known about this asteroid for a while, but apparently now they have discovered that it is made up of
nickel and iron.
They have known about
I'm sorry.
this.
I hadn't seen this, but that's a lot of zeros.
Yeah, so they have known about this asteroid for a while, but recently they've discovered it's been made of essentially nickel and iron, which they've done the math at being about 230 million miles away, and it measures about the size of West Virginia, and it's worth, were that able to mine that and bring it to Earth, about $10 quadrillion. So more valuable than the rest of the, more valuable than Earth, essentially, than all the money on Earth. And the thing
That's
about it that
astounding.
is interesting to me on this is NASA has now decided to launch a mission to Psyche in 2022 and hopefully orbit the asteroid in early 2026. At which point, I'm pretty sure Elon Musk is going to strap some rockets to it and bring it back to Earth and have it orbit Earth like the moon. No.
Well, yeah, but just let's not send it on a trajectory back towards Earth and then have it
be off by 0.00001 degrees and
yeah.
We'll join the dinosaurs.
Yeah, that would be bad. That would be bad. $10 quadrillion. I could spend that money. Wait, what? Maybe not.
Anyways. All right. So that was the first one. I thought that was cool. Go read about the asteroid Psyche. And then the second one is about the speed of light. What is the fastest that something can travel? And it's the speed of light, right? That's what...
I read this article when you posted this in Slack.
Isn't it a great article?
This is a cool article.
So, no, the speed of light is not the fastest something can travel. And apparently, I was not aware of this, but apparently this whole concept of quantum tunneling, which is, the whole idea of quantum theory is things exist in multiple places simultaneously.
Yeah.
Right? So apparently this has been rolling around since the early 1900s and potentially earlier. But one of the comments was about calculating, because you would do these calculations and they didn't make sense. The math didn't make sense because whatever the math showed was it was have to be faster than the speed of light. And one of the guys who's a physicist at the University of Toronto has been studying this for decades. And his comment was, when you get an answer that you can't make sense of, you don't publish it. So even if it turns out to be right.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until 1962 that there was a paper that was written that basically posited that quantum tunneling allowed faster than light travel, which was previously thought of as an impossibility.
I mean, the cool thing about this is, I mean, you can't easily control it, but the the notion is that the particle. I haven't reread the article for the last, since whenever it was that you posted this, but the thing that's cool is sometimes the particle is kind of at the head of its wave and sometimes it's at the end, right? And so really what they're measuring is the average probability or the maximum probability of where the particle is at any point in time. Right. But as they're sort of sending it through a barrier, they're the experimental things the physicists were trying to figure out is how could they measure time spent inside the barrier, because other experiments have shown that the barrier thickness, if a particle winds up using quantum tunneling to go through the barrier instead of reflecting, it almost didn't matter, or not almost, it didn't matter how thick the barrier was. It would just pop out on the other side. And it's that popping out on the other side, since it doesn't matter about the thickness of the barrier, if the barrier is, thick enough, since the particle literally doesn't appear to spend any time going through, then it could have violated the speed of light as it suddenly appeared across the thing. But previously it was just a probability. And anyway, so they're using quantum spin to try and basically, track the number of fluctuations the quantum spin has inside the barrier. Anyway, it was really interesting how they were trying to sort of what they call it. It's the Larmor clock.
Yeah.
They're basically they're spending. Let's see. The researchers reported that the rubidium atoms spent on average 0.61 milliseconds inside the barrier, less time than the atoms would have taken to travel through free space. Anyway, this was a cool article. It was a cool article.
Yeah, it's very long.
This is definitely something fun, though.
Very detailed and fascinating that we're still making new discoveries in science.
It's so awesome. I just think of what people are going to be able to do in another 20, 50, 100 years.
Yeah.
All right. What are my something funs? My first one is it fun when some creatures
I did see this.
are getting destroyed? I think when they're murder hornets, perhaps.
Maybe.
So I had several people tell me, "Hey, did you see this? Did you see this?" Which, yes, I totally saw this. That they, last week, I don't remember why. Maybe it was Thursday. I read it that they had found some, they're Asian giant hornets. I think officially not murder hornets, but the colloquialism certainly is sticky. But they had found some. They had trapped a couple of hornets, and then they affixed GPS trackers or radio transmitters to the back of the hornets with dental floss. So, what's your job? Hey, I can tie dental floss. I can tie radio transmitters with dental floss to large hornets. That's got to be a life skill. Anyway, so they tracked them end of last week, and then I think weather prevented them from destroying the nest on Friday, but they had the homeowner's permission to go on the property, remove the nest, actually take down the tree because they want to make sure that there's no other
larvae or anything
in there. Yeah, I don't know enough about these hornets, if they're the same as yellow jackets or paper wasps or anything like that. But, for some of those other, like paper wasps at least, their queens will hatch out and then go basically hibernate over winter somewhere in like a wood pile or something, and then come out early in the spring and, go start making a nest. So they did say that the county officials speculate there's at least 3 other nests in the area. So maybe this won't be the first or the last one they find. But the third article or the third stat I picked out of this article is that bee colonies have dropped from 6 million in the 40s to 2.5 million today. I didn't realize that there had been that much of a decline. It seems kind of weird. And maybe another way of saying that is I didn't realize beehives were so popular or so prevalent, 50 years ago.
Well, that sounds like a bad thing that bee colonies. There used to be 6. Am I understanding that correctly? There used to be 6 million.
It is a bad thing.
Now there's only 2.5.
It is a bad thing because, as I guess another stat that they said in this article, maybe it was in the video on the top of the article, was that 80% of our food is pollinated with bees. So,
hey,
yes.
John.
Yes,
bees are important. Thanks for having bees.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thanks for having 3 more hives than you planned? 3 more boxes than your original plan? You want to add another?
I don't know what I'm going to do next year. I hope they make it through the winter. That's what I say. I hope they make it through the winter. But we do a survey every year. I'm part of a survey they do every year, and most years there's a 30 to 50% colony loss. So,
oh wow,
I mean, it's pretty brutal. Anyway, okay. My second something fun. This is way too long. This is like your quantum article, but this is an article, and I thought at first when I saw this link that this was going to be one of those spammy sites that have all the click each link. Here's one fact on a page, and they got 20 pages, because it's brainpickings.org, which I'd never heard of before. Anyway. But this is an article about an Austrian physicist, Lise Meitner. I'm probably butchering her name, but she was a physicist in the early part of the 20th century who, and there's a quote, led the team that discovered nuclear fission but was excluded from the Nobel Prize for the discovery. And her story was awesome. She didn't have any formal education after 14 until Austrian universities began admitting women in 1901, after which she crammed 8 years. It says she compressed 8 years worth of logic, literature, mathematics, Greek, Latin, botany, zoology, and physics into 20 months to take the examinations to qualify her for the university, and received her PhD in 1905, one of only a handful of women in the world to have achieved a doctorate in physics at that point. And in 1907, she met Otto Hahn, a German chemist, and they worked together for over 30 years, starting at the Berlin Chemical Institute, but women weren't allowed to enter the institute, so they set up a lab in the basement in a converted carpentry shop, and she wasn't allowed to go upstairs. Talk about a glass ceiling. It was presumably a wood ceiling. So, but anyway, and she was Jewish and basically barely escaped out of Germany in the late 30s, and then it says that Hahn and Meitner met secretly in Copenhagen in, I didn't copy the year out here, I think it was like 37 or 38, to discuss some perplexing results that of an experiment they had been doing, and which happened to be the fact that they were bombarding the nucleus of an atom, a uranium atom, with a single neutron, and they ended up with essentially two other elements. The transformation didn't make any sense at all, and so she and her nephew came up with and wrote a paper about this, calling it fission. The first time the word was ever used, it was in the paper they published, and because Meitner provided, basically figured out that the nucleus was dividing. So Hahn took her groundbreaking work. Here's the quote. Hahn took her groundbreaking insight and ran with it, publishing the discovery without mentioning her name. It is beside the point whether his reasons were personal jealousies or the political cowardice of incensing the Nazi authorities, because he was still in Germany. But then he won the 1944 Nobel Prize in Chemistry for the discovery of nuclear fission, and alone. And she was never, it did say there was many, there's many other things that she did sort of mostly posthumously, but she was awarded. But anyway, this was a great story of a early pioneering woman physicist that I thought was fantastic. So give it a read. It's a great read.
Yeah, this is really cool. Yeah. Really cool. I like hearing stories like that.
And I didn't know her. I'm sorry to say I didn't know about her.
Great story. Great story.
Anyway, I really enjoyed that. So check it out. That's a good article.
Cool.
All right, my friend. You can call it a show.
Yep. Have a good night, John.
I'll talk to you later, Eric.
Alrighty.
Bye.
Bye.